In between the breathtaking peaks of Patagonia, a chilling tragedy unfolded in 2022 on the slopes of Cerro Torre. The very existence of human determination clashed with the unrelenting forces of nature, resulting in a very heart-wrenching mountaineering disaster that has left the world in somber reflection. Watch as we dive into the harrowing tale of those who dared to challenge Cerro Torre's treacherous beauty and were faced with a reality that tested their limits in ways they could never have imagined. What to think after such a tragedy? That of a climber nailed by fate. Bad luck, call it what you will. Despite all the talent, experience, and humility he showed, which made him Corra Pesce, one of the best climbers of his generation. What else can be said but that the impulse of the climbers and the locals of El Chalten shows that the mountain solidarity is so strong that it allowed them to save Thomas. This great and beautiful solidarity does not compensate for the loss of a man. Nevertheless, the incredible beauty of Cerro Torre will still attract climbers who want to live more intense hours for the satisfaction of having gone to the end of themselves. To make the light more beautiful, the water is more tasty than ever, because without desire, men and women are not alive. Cerro Torre was submitted by two teams of climbers on Thursday, January 27th, after completing two new parallel routes up the Patagonian Tower. However, an avalanche injured Tommy Roy Aguillo, Argentina, and killed 41-year-old Corrado Corra Pesce, Italy, as they descended. Tommy Aguillo and Corra Pesce had started construction on the tower 2 days earlier, around the same time as another Italian crew composed of David Bacci, Matteo della Bordella, and Matteo Giga de Giacomo. The two groups had been keeping tabs on each other's progress while they progressed on separate new paths. They were within 50 to 150 meters of one another at times before colliding near the peak on January 27th. Last Friday, around 3 a.m., an avalanche of ice and debris struck Pesce and his companion, the local guide Thomas Aguillo, on the east slope of Cerro Torre. It happened during the rest stop on their descent after they had discovered a fresh route on the north face. Aguillo sustained many fractures and a ruptured lung. Pesce's fractures were significantly worse, including a fractured pelvis and perhaps a broken spine. He was unable to move. Aguillo was fortunate to recover their little InReach gadget in the snow after the avalanche. But still, it took him almost 3 hours to text for assistance. Pesce stayed in the English box, a little rocky shelter. Aguillo descended as far as he could before being discovered by rescuers the next day. They wrapped him in a thermal blanket and assisted him in his descent, pushing the stretcher across the snow and carrying him over the rocky areas. The mountaineers arrived at the Argentinian Army helicopter at 9 a.m. on Saturday, which transported Aguillo to the Calafate hospital. He was awake, but in shock. Aguillo's left lung has collapsed due to collarbone and rib fractures. His health has stabilized after doctors implanted a drainage catheter. A rescue effort is always difficult here. Far from any trace of civilization, unlike in Europe, there are no official rescue squads or helicopters. There is, however, the El Chalten Rescue Committee, which was a volunteer but well-trained rescue team founded by Dr. Carolina Coddo at the end of the 1990s, and relies on the solidarity of climbers passing through to respond back to any need for help. It was a marvel that Tommy Aguillo could call for help at all. While trying to assemble what little equipment was still usable, he discovered his small InReach device, a satellite messaging device. He then assisted Corra in reaching the remnants of the box of the English, a tiny roofless shelter on the wall, where the Italian confirmed that a damaged pelvis prevented him from standing. Tommy, who had many broken ribs and a shattered collarbone, grabbed a 40-meter piece of rope and began a slow and perilous drop. Corra and Tommy are mountain guides and family men. Whenever Corra traveled to Patagonia, he stayed with Tommy. During the summer in Europe, Tommy would stay at Corra's residence in Chamonix, where Corra was regarded as a true local legend. Tommy, a cheery person with a spontaneous laugh, expresses sincere admiration for his companion. They will never see each other again. Rescuers attempted to locate Corrado Pesce, but he was in an unreachable place. The weather deteriorated with time, making both land and helicopter rescues impossible. It is a very technical place to get to, said locals. Mountaineers from France and Italy were said to be searching for him, but they would only be recovering his body now. Corrado Pesce and Thomas Aguillo are mountain guides with extensive experience. In 2016, they performed the first psycho-vertical repetition in 29 years at the Ega Tower, along with Rolly Streimitzer, Lucky Kusera, and Carlitos Molina. Corrado Pesce was 41 years old when he died. He moved to Chamonix at the age of 19 and began guiding in 2009. Pesce's career included the Alps, Patagonia, and even the Himalayas, where he repeated the impossible star route on Bhagirathi 3 with Sebastian Corre, Martin Elias, and Damien Tomassi. Pesce also climbed the Direct de l'Amitié in 2014, as well as the Rolling Stones of the Grand Jurasse in 2015 with Martin Elias. Manu Cordova and he ascended the Aguja Marmose and the Torre Ega. Pesce and Will Sim coupled a Voie de Papa repetition with the ruins of the Bonatti in the southwest pillar of the Petit Dru in the Mont Blanc mountain in March 2021. A rockfall in 2005 largely demolished the pillar. More than 35 people rushed to the couple's aid. Tommy would not have survived without them. The rescuers reached him 26 hours after he raised the alarm, Dr. Kodo explained. He descended by rappelling down until he reached a snowfield, where he had waited some 300 meters above solid ground, exhausted. 4 of the world's best mountaineers, Matteo della Bordella of Italy, Thomas Huber of Germany, Roger Scheile of Switzerland, and Roberto Treo of Argentina, were involved in the final stage of the rescue and managed to ascend the final stretch of rock face to reach Tommy. Della Bordella and Scheile attempted to continue climbing up to save Cora as the other 2 descended with Tommy, but they were forced to return due to a sudden shift in the weather. We were already well beyond our physical and psychological limits, and we knew Cora would remain on the mountain indefinitely, Della Bordella explained. He and his 2 Italian companions had met Tommy and Cora at the summit of Cerro Torre the day before, on January 27. The Italians were also opening a new route on the east face, and then joined Tommy and Cora when they were both finishing up their route on the north face. So they hooked up, Dr. Kodo explains. But the Italians decided to sleep on the summit and descend the very next day through the so-called compressor route, while Tommy and Cora chose to descend at night on the north face to avoid avalanches. Cora Pesce was a legend, not only in his adopted Chamonix, France, but also among Spanish alpinists. He and Martin Elias from the northern Spanish region of La Rioja had climbed the now famous Rolling Stones route on the Grand Jurasse mountain between France and Italy in 2015 and the Direct de l'Amitié on the same mountain a year earlier. In 2016, they and 2 French partners repeated the impossible star on the Bhagirathi 3, 6,454 meters or 21,174 feet in the Indian Himalayas. Cora Pesce also climbed Aguja Marmose and Torre Ega in Patagonia alongside Spanish climber Manu Cordova in 2012. Cora, a brilliant mountaineer with outstanding eyesight, technique, and strength, appeared impenetrable. He accomplished every goal he set for himself. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section below. If you liked today's video, then make sure to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to always be updated with the most exciting content as soon as it's uploaded. Thanks for watching. See you again soon